lesson 1, chapter 15, is to understand how human karyotypes are used and the pattern of inheritance in human traits. Okay, so our focus will be on using human as an example to understand heredity. Okay, let's a little intro. Now, see this good-looking man here? It's a handsome man, right? Very handsome guy. He has very distinct features. Very distinct features. I use his picture every year because, or whenever I teach biology, it's because he has very distinct traits that are common in a lot of people, a lot of men. I could have used a woman as well. Now, but then what makes a person a human? Or what makes a person a human, right? Now, all the traits that this man has is determined by what is called genome. The word is right here, genome. The genome represents all the DNA, all the genetic material that is found in an organism, all the DNA. Now, humans, we have about 20,000 genes. I like to say 20,000 plus genes, okay? That's not the complete genome, okay? Genome includes the gene, the promoter, the operator, the transcription factor, and all the other DNA that's just junk DNA, DNA that doesn't mean anything, okay? So all your DNA represents your genome. And that genome is what makes up how we are, make us uniquely human, okay? Uniquely human because of the genetic material. Now, so that represents 46. Remember, the human genome is 46 chromosomes, right here, 46 chromosomes. So out of all the 46 chromosomes, it carries all the 20,000. Oops, I should put a here. 20,000 genes. Now, each gene represents a trait, by the way. Just remember that. Now, is it the same for, let's say, if I were to study, let's say, worms? Do worms have 20,000 genes? The answer is no. They have significantly less genes because they have significantly less traits, less characteristics. So they have a total of how many chromosomes? 4. What about rice that we eat? I love rice. It has 24, okay? 24. Now, rice is simple, more simple than roundworms, but they have 24. So that means that rice has a lot of junk DNA. Junk, okay? So your DNA, your genome contains your genes, all the DNA that's responsible for transcription, translation, replication, and it has junk DNA, DNA that doesn't mean anything. It's just in our DNA, in our cells. That's it, in our DNA. It doesn't do anything. So looking at rice has 24 chromosomes. That means it must have a lot of junk DNA because rice doesn't have a lot of characteristics. It doesn't have dimples, which this man has. He has dimples. He has a round chin. See, he has a round chin. He has a very high nose. He has 2 eyelids, 2 eyebrows. He has a partial willow's peak. You see that right here? Willow's peak. Okay, willow's peak. Now, so just from his face, he has a lot of features. Rice, not a lot of features. Okay, not a lot of traits. So that tells me it has a lot of junk DNA. So then you have a chimpanzee. Chimpanzee has 48 chromosomes. That's the genome of chimpanzee. And then if you look at a dog, I don't know what kind of dog. I don't know what kind of dog it is. I think I know what it is. It's like a poodle, okay? It's a poodle. And so dogs have, this poodle has 78 chromosomes. It's a lot of chromosomes, significantly more than human. Now, does it mean that the poodle have more genes than human? Maybe, I don't know. But I doubt that it has more because humans, we are, compared to other species, we are the most complex, okay? We are the most complex. So what makes up human? It's all the genomes, the genes that we are made of. Now, what makes up worms? It's all the DNA inside the chromosomes that these other species have, okay? That's what makes up the species. Now, so how do we know? How do we know that humans have 46 chromosomes? How do we know that dogs have 78 chromosomes? How do we know that rice has 24 chromosomes? So what we do is we take the cell of each individual species, we open it up, and we take the DNA out of the nucleus. Okay, so here's your cell, you cut it open, inside there's a nucleus right here, a nucleus. You take the DNA, you take it out. You take it out, and then it's easy to remove the nucleic acid, but it's very hard to study it. It's complex because it's so small and there's so much, but it's easy to remove the DNA. So once you remove the DNA, which is there in the chromosomes, which is stored in chromosomes, then we see that humans have 46. So I'm going to count them for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you count, there are 46. Okay? There are 46 of these pieces. Now, notice how they pair up. You see how they pair up? How they pair up? Notice how they pair up? These are called homologous chromosomes. Homologous. Why homologous? Because one piece belongs to mom, the other piece belongs to dad. So when the sperm enters the egg, it delivers to the egg 23 chromosomes. So the egg has 23 chromosomes. Plus the 23 from the sperm, that equals to 46. And that's where this comes from. That's why you and I have 46 chromosomes in our body cells. Now, what about sex cells? Sex cells do not have 46. They have only 23. Okay? That's your egg, and this is your sperm. Okay? That's your sperm, that's the egg. It has only haploid number. Remember, we talked about that. Now, so what is it called when you have a picture of all the DNA? It's called karyotype. A karyotype is a complete list of all the chromosomes in a cell. In humans, again, we have 46. Or you can say that we have 23 pairs. 23 pairs. Pair means two, right? Pair means two. So this is two, pair. But actually, a pair is two. So that means that 23 pairs is the same thing as 46 chromosomes. Now, chromosome number one through 22 are called autosomes. Number 23 is this one. Number 23, this one, is called sex chromosome. So how many pairs do we have? We have 23 pairs. And a karyotype shows you from largest to smallest. Largest chromosome to the smallest. So it arranges it from largest to smallest. Okay, we good? Autosomal chromosomes contains genes that are not sex related. So, for example, your hair color is not sex related. I have black hair, Jenny has black hair, Derek has black hair, Emma has black hair. Does it determine our gender? Does it determine that I'm a male, that Jenny is female? No, it does not. So all the genes that's not related to gender, to sex, is found in chromosome number 1 through 22. All the chromosomes that determines your gender, your sex, features that are related to gender, to sex, is on these two. These two. Right here. Okay. So, for example, facial hair is on chromosome number 23. Body structures is on chromosome number 23. Sperm production is on chromosome number 23. Having ovaries is on chromosome number 23. Your voice, right? Your voice is on chromosome number 23. Guys, does that make sense? So all related traits related to sex is on number 23. Everything else is from 1 to 22. Now, here's something else. Since we are all humans, okay, all of us in here on the Zoom are humans, all the genes for, let's say, hair would be on chromosome number 1, right here, right here. So here's your mom, hair, here's your dad, hair, little dot right here. So if I were to look for Nathan's hair color, I would look for chromosome number 1 because it would be on the exact same chromosome. If I wanted to know Tian's hair color, I would go for chromosome number 1. If I wanted to know the texture of Derek's hair, I will look at chromosome number 1 because everything about hair for human is on chromosome number 1. Does that make sense? It's the same for all humans. So therefore, if you compare the DNA of all humans, we are 99.9% the same. That 0.01% is what makes us different. Brown hair versus black hair versus blonde hair versus red hair. Green eyes versus blue eyes versus brown eyes versus black eyes. That 0.01% is what makes us different. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next slide. So here's additional karyotypes. I'm gonna change color. Let's make it beautiful green. Okay. This is a karyotype of a male. And this is a karyotype of a female. Now, chromosome number 1 through 22, right? 1 through 22, you cannot determine the gender. For this female karyotype, you cannot tell the gender. The only way for you to tell is right here. This one right here, chromosome number 23. It's 23. That's how you know. This is chromosome number 23. Look at the pieces of DNA, a chromosome. One big, one small. Two of the same size. That's why females have XX. We call the two big ones, we call them X's. Male, we call this X. This X is similar to the female X. Okay? This X from the male is similar to female. You got this X from who? You got it from your mom. You got it from your mom. Okay? Now, where do you get the Y? You got the Y from your dad. Okay? Your dad could have made you a girl. Because half of the sperm are female. Half of the other sperm are male. Because they have to carry either an X or a Y. So sperm determines the gender. Okay. Now each of these chromosomes, each of the genes on these chromosomes here determines your gender. So you are male or female. Okay, so we say that males are XY and females are XX because we had to give them a symbol to represent something. Now, but then sometimes we have problems. We extract the DNA and we put it into a karyotype. And then what a karyotype does is it shows us all the DNA. Also, it shows us changes and defects in the DNA. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not happy about it. You change color. Okay? So, here's an example. From a karyotype, you see if a person is going to be normal, having 46 chromosomes. You're able to determine the gender of the individual. Now here, I'm looking at the gender, right here. Looking at this, I know this is a male. Okay? Because it's a big and a small. This is an X, and this is a Y, because it's small. This is how you determine the gender. This is also male. It's a big and a small one. It's chromosome number 23. Now, but what else can you see from a karyotype? You get to see, number one, defects. You get to see changes in your DNA. You get to see if there's malfunctions so that you can determine if you should keep or you should maybe avoid having a baby in the future because you have bad DNA. So here's some examples. This is chromosome number 1. Okay? This is number 1. What happened here? It's missing a piece of DNA. Transformation. This is a mutation. Look at this. It's missing a piece of DNA right here. Look at this. You have 3. 1, 2, 3. You have too many DNA, too many chromosomes. That's a big problem. Here, you're missing a small piece right here. Here, you have 3. 1, 2, 3 chromosomes. So, why do we study karyotypes? So that you can see if there's a problem. Here, you got 1, 2, 3. You got a big problem here. That's a no-no. That's a big problem. Okay? So, a karyotype shows you a lot of things before you can proceed with. It's kind of like a checkpoint. It's kind of like you can do an overall review of your DNA to see if it's good or not. Okay? That's a karyotype. Now, where do you get the karyotype? Well, you can get it from your cells right now. Usually karyotypes are taken from the mother, okay, the mother. Like let's say a woman's pregnant. After she is pregnant for, let's say, a good couple of weeks, few months, something like that, they take a needle and they put it into her body, her uterus, okay? So that's where the baby is. They put it into the uterus, and then the syringe, it doesn't stab the baby or the mother. It's like a straw. So they take out the cells in the water inside the amniotic sac, and then they take those cells, skin cells of the baby that's in the water, and they do a karyotype. That's how they do it. Second way is they inject it straight into the mother, into a certain part of the mother placenta, and they cut off, remove some cells, and they look at it. From those cells, they're able to determine what the DNA of the baby will be like. And the baby does not have to be fully developed. It could be maybe a couple of weeks, and you can tell if the baby is going to have Down syndrome, some disease. Now, if you have defects in certain areas of the chromosome, it tells you the disease that the baby's going to have. So, for example, right here, this one right here, because this male, right, male has 3 pieces on chromosome number 21. You guys see that? This baby will have Down syndrome, okay? This baby will have Down syndrome. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Down syndrome, it's when you see little kids. They all look the same. It doesn't matter what race they are or what gender, male or female. They tend to be shorter. They tend to have bigger faces. They tend to have, eyes like this. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Down syndrome. Okay, most of you know what I'm talking about, okay? You see them on campus. And they walk around. They tend to have, mild mental development, lack of mental development. And you see them all the time. The reason why they have those is because they have an extra piece of chromosome in number 21. Instead of 2, they have 3. Chromosome number 21. So what about this one? This is a different disease. 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 You see what I mean? So would this baby boy survive? No, the baby would die. This baby would die. Most likely would die. Okay, guys? The baby would die. Would this baby survive? Yes, this baby would survive, but would develop Down syndrome. Be born with Down syndrome and possibly live maybe until 20-something maximum age, and then maybe later than that, and then die. Okay? Would the baby be fertile? No. That means they can't have a baby. Okay? Things like that. Okay, guys? We good? All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next idea. Okay. Now, so if you look at all the 20,000 genes, traits that you and I have that make us human, right? 20,000 of them. I'll write them down so that you can see. Okay, remember, we have 20,000, okay? 20K. K means 1,000, okay? 20,000 plus genes. All those genes determine human, monkeys, other species. They have different numbers. Now, most of these genes, or most of these traits that you and I have, they obey the simple pattern of dominance versus recessive. Okay? I'll give you an example. Chin, cleft chin, kind of like this. That's a cleft chin. I have a cleft chin. Most of you have a round chin. Most people have round chin. Some people have cleft chin. Okay? Now, that is an example of simple dominant recessive. You either have it or you don't have it. Within the 20,000 genes that make us human, most of the genes are like that. It's either dominant or recessive. Most genes. Now, a small number display a different pattern. We call that codominance and incomplete dominance. Codominant is when both the genes of that same trait is dominant. Another example is incomplete inheritance. Incomplete is when you have 2 genes that are different. They mix with each other, creating another gene, creating another trait. That we talked about this before, incomplete dominance. Now, there's a 5th type of control in our 20,000 genes. They are controlled by multiple genes, the multiple genes. So instead of 1 gene or 2 genes, one gene for cleft chin and one gene for round chin, right? One or the other. That trait is controlled by multiple genes, not just one or two. They're controlled by 5, 10 genes. 10 genes control that one trait. For example, human skin, right? Human skin, it is not just black or white. Human skin is very diverse. There's a range. There's like maybe 10 or 15, 20 different genes that controls hair color, eye color, blood cells, skin color. So, but it's a small number. So these genes, are controlled by multiple genes. So we call them multiple alleles. So all genes, all the 20,000 genes that you and I have that make us human, are controlled by either dominant, recessive, codominant, incomplete dominance, or multiple genes. Now, an example of a multiple gene is your blood, because we have 4 blood types: A, blood type number 1, blood type number 2, B, blood type number 3, AB, and blood type number 4. The gene for A, the gene for blood type A, is D for dominant. The gene for B is also dominant. And then the gene for AB, when they're together, they're both dominant, so they both show. The gene for O blood is recessive, R for recessive. So you see how red blood cells has has multiple genes that controls dominant recessive. On top of that, in addition, it's either negative or positive as well. So certain types of A, you have A positive or sometimes A negative. That's an additional gene, okay? B positive or B negative, or AB. You see what I mean? So that's an additional gene that also controls your blood. So blood is an example of a gene that is controlled by multiple alleles. Okay, guys, move on. All right, let's move on to the next idea. So let's go back to the different types of genes, okay? Now here, we know that we call the small piece on chromosome number 23, we call the small piece of chromosome number 23, we call it, oh, I made a mistake, guys. My boo-boo. It should reverse. It should be Y. It should be Y, and this should be X. That means I made a mistake on the next slide too. Okay, let me switch it over. All right. Okay. Let me go back. All right. So if you look at, let's say, the reason why we call it X and Y is because it just makes it easier for us to understand what we're talking about. So this is a male, right? M for male, okay? This is a male because it has an XY chromosome or YX chromosome, okay? A small and a big one. Now, see, any gene that is found on either the X or Y chromosome, or we call that sex-linked, okay? Or sex linkage, or sex-linked gene. It is a gene that is found on the sex chromosome, number 23, okay, number 23. Now, so for men, okay, Now, men, we have, on chromosome number 23, we have one X and one Y, right? One X and one Y. Now, whatever gene you have on there, they are all expressed. That means they will show up. You will feel it. You'll have it. So, for example, some examples of genes that are found on X and Y chromosome that are problems. For example, muscular dystrophy. Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This is a disease of your muscle. You get it later on in life. You become paralyzed. Okay, that is a genetic sex-linked gene on the X chromosome. This is rhinitis pigmentosa. That is a disease to the eye. You have no pigmentation. Okay. This is deafness. Is also a sex-linked gene on the X chromosome. Fragile X syndrome. I don't know this one. I don't know the details of this one, but this is a sex-linked disease that's found on the X chromosome. color blindness is also on the X chromosome. Hemophilia, it's on the X chromosome. So you see how all of these are sex-linked diseases. Now, men, okay? If this is, let's say you have all of these diseases. You have all of it. If this is Raphael, you're colorblind, you are deaf, you have no pigment, you're paralyzed later on in life, and when you get a cut, you don't stop bleeding, hemophilia. And for the Y chromosome, you have testicles, testes-specific transcription. So this little piece of Y here, which is this part here, little piece of Y, it carries all the genes for male traits. So male traits, there's not a lot, but female traits, there's a lot. So does Raphael, let's say this is Raphael, he has an X and he has a Y. Does Raphael have female traits? Yes. You have female traits, all you. I have female traits. I have an X, so I have female traits. Does my body produce some female hormones? Yes. My body produces female hormone, but because I have a Y as well, my body produces male hormone, so therefore it makes me a male, gives me male traits. Okay, guys, we good? Good? Okay, so if you look at it, for males, see, here's the problem. We have only one X and one Y. If you have a disease on either X or Y chromosome, you have it. You have it. You will have this disease. That's just how it is, because it's X-linked, because we only have one of each. Whereas, let's say for women, you're lucky. You have two different chromosomes. Now, here's an example of sex-linked disorder. So here, this is colorblind. Now, can everyone who cannot see the numbers? Raise your hand if you cannot see the numbers. Raise your hand if you cannot see the numbers. Anybody? I want to. Okay, anybody? So none of you are colorblind, okay? So remember, colorblindness is on the X chromosome, okay? So that means that all of you, all the men in here, we have a normal X chromosome for colorblindness. We can see color. Now, for women, see, women, you have two X's, right? Women, ladies, you have two X's. Men, you have X and Y, right? On number 23. Now, let's say, for example, you have the gene for color blindness. It's right here. Say it's right here. You have only one. So, will you be colorblind? No. Ladies, you're lucky. Because if one of your X is bad, the other X takes over so that you see normal vision. But you may have a baby. If your baby receives this chromosome, your baby is colorblind. Your kids will be colorblind. So women, you have two X's. You are much luckier than men because you're able to avoid, you have like an extra checkpoint to avoid having a certain disease. Now, so when a man and a woman reproduce, it looks like this. Here is mom and this is dad, right? So each of these, each egg, female egg, has one of the X. Each of the egg has only one X. Each of the sperm has either an X or a Y, okay? So this is your sperms. So 50% of the sperm is female. 50% would be male, right? And 50% eggs, 50. So it's always 50-50. Now, so when a man and a woman have a baby, there's a 50% chance she will have a female daughter and a male daughter. It's always 50-50. So even if a person has 100 babies, if they have another baby, the probability of having a boy or a girl, it's still 50-50. Still 50-50. So the probability starts over again because 50% of the sperm is X, 50% of the other sperm is Y. So if this sperm happens to get into the egg, the baby will be a boy. That's how it is. So therefore, you might have cousins, family where the dad has, let's say, 4 girls. And then people say, oh, you know, grandpa, or your uncle who doesn't know anything tells your dad, hey, have another baby. You have 4 girls already. For sure, the next one will be a boy. No, that's not how things work. When your dad has another baby, the probability is still 50-50. You might have another daughter again. So that's all by chance, okay? All by chance. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next idea. So because of the way males and females are structured, okay, this is your Y, males, and this is your X, okay, guys? Now, because you only have one X and one Y, we have a disadvantage, okay? Guys, we have a huge, huge disadvantage compared to women. Women have XX, and so when they have one bad X, if they have a bad X, their body disguises it. Their body destroys it. It disguises it. So this X operates and creates the female, creates the baby. And so humans, males, we have a disadvantage because we have only one. If this Y goes bad, if let's say your Y goes bad, you got big problems. Then that means that you are considered XO. XO. If you have a not functioning Y, that means you're XO. Most likely you have major mental retardation problems. Physical, mental retardation problems. Will you be a male? No, because you don't have a Y. Major retardation problems. Okay? Now, females, if you have a bad X, you just have the other X, which supports your body, creating all the traits that your body needs is missing. So you're good. So, in general, why do men not live longer? Why do men have more disease? Because women, they have two X's. Men, we have an X and Y. Well, there are a number of reasons why men do not live as long as women. Men have more disease. Men are reckless. Men abuse their body. Men do stupid things. That's why we die earlier. Yeah, guys, we good? That is a fact. Okay, that's not. I didn't make anything up. Okay, I don't make anything up when when we have lessons. So here is some sample of some diseases that you may see. So what if remember, males we are XY, right? And females you are XX. Now what if the cell division does not produce a XX or XY? What if you gain an extra X or something like that? What if you're like this? What if your chromosome number 23 is XXY? You have a disease called Klinefelter syndrome. Klinefelter syndrome is a disease genetic disease where it's called hermaphroditism. Hermaphroditism is when you have a body that is both a man and a woman. A man and a woman combined, one body. Hermaphroditism. There's only a few species on Earth that are hermaphrodites. Hydras, jellyfish, seahorses. There are two bodies on one. Now, have I seen Klinefelter syndrome? Well, my degree is in biology and chemistry. So I took a class, and the professor brought in a person volunteer to show us what a Klinefelter syndrome looks like. The person tends to be very tall, okay? Very tall in height, very tall in height. The person that I saw was a man. But he also said that he has women body parts, breasts. He had hips, wide hips. He had ovaries in his body. He had both reproductive system. He had a penis and also the woman part. He had both. So when he was born, his parents saw both, and so the doctor removed the part that didn't work. So they removed the woman's part, but he takes hormonal shots to reduce the breast size. But he has breasts. He has traits that are similar to women, but he lives as a man because his body is slightly more of a man than a woman. So again, that is called Klinefelter syndrome because he has two X's and a Y. His body produces extra female parts, but he's actually a man. So he's a man and also a woman. So why are we human? We are human because of the genes that we have. Now, here's another example. This is Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a recessive disorder found on the X chromosome. Okay, on the X chromosome. Now, so here, this is a woman. Okay, XX. It's recessive. Remember, it's recessive. So that means it's small d. Okay, let's make it a small d. Okay, you only get it if you get a small d. So here, this woman, She is, it's a woman because it's XX. One of her X is normal, the other X is affected. She does not have muscular dystrophy. She is a carrier. She's a carrier. That means she carries the gene for the disease. She doesn't have it. Thank goodness. Will it ever become active? No, because she has this X chromosome to suppress the bad one. Now, she could, when she have kids, give it to her kids. She could give it, if she have kids, she should. People like her should consult a geneticist so they can determine the probability of her kids having muscular dystrophy. Now, here's another woman. She has X, but it's small d, small b. The person is affected. She has it. Now, this is a man. He is affected. This is the man that I'm talking. Okay? This is muscular dystrophy. I don't know how old he is, maybe 20-something years old. He's paralyzed. His leg's paralyzed. Now, eventually, his whole body would be paralyzed. That muscular dystrophy. Now, how often does it happen? A ratio of 1 out of every 3,600 babies. Mostly boys. Girls, rare. It does happen, kind of like this. It does happen, but it's rare. Because women, you have 2 X's. That's where the advantage is. Okay, guys, we good? So, overall, women, you have sex-linked related diseases are less common in women because you have 2 X's. But for men, if you have a genetic disorder on either the X or the Y, you have it. And you have it. You have it in your life. You can't escape. You cannot escape if you're male. Now, so something new. So in 1961, this lady, Lyon, her last name is Lyon, she was studying sex-linked diseases on the X chromosome, okay? She was studying the X chromosome, and this is what she discovered. She discovered that in females, because females have 2 X chromosomes, okay? 2 X chromosomes. Not all women, but she said that in some women and in some mammals, okay, which includes cats, dogs, monkeys, okay? Sometimes one of the X, so you have 2 X's, ladies, you have 2 X's. One of the X becomes inactive. Now, when it becomes inactive, does the woman, the baby, female baby, does she know that one of the X becomes inactive? The answer is no. It occurs during the embryonic stage when the baby is developing inside the mom. And then, because one of the X, let's say this X becomes inactive, okay? Becomes inactive. This X stays active. And so what it is it is found in other parts of the baby. It continues on, the baby continues to develop, and the same exact inactive X is found in other cells of the baby's body. Now, in cats, for example, here you have an example where, see this cat, it has two-tone black and also brown. Unlike humans, okay, unlike in humans, this part of the cat, see this? Okay? This part of the cat, okay? This part of the cat's skin develops what we call polar bodies. Some of the X chromosome of the cat becomes inactive, like the orange color. It deactivates. So only the black is produced. And then this part of the cat, the black color is deactivated. So it's only orange. We call these calico cats. Calico cats. Now, in humans, it's called birthmarks. Birthmarks. Okay, how many of you know what I'm talking about? Birthmarks. You get it in the face, you get it in the body. Let's say you get it right here, on your neck. That area of your neck, the cells that gave you the birthmark, the X chromosome, or whatever chromosome that is, it gets deactivated. The other one has to be expressed, so the color changes. Now, can you get rid of birthmarks? Because it's in your DNA. You can't remove your birthmarks. Now, however, you can remove freckles that you get when you live your life. The sun gives you freckles, sunspots. can remove those because they're not genetically related. You can remove the cell and it goes away. If you are born with freckles, it's genetic, so you can't remove genetics. Now I remove dark spots. Remember, I had a dark spot right here from hiking because I didn't put on sunblock, and I removed it. It's completely clear now. I removed one here. Remember here, I have one. It's fading. See, I have one right here. I had it treated, and it's fading away. Okay, because it's not. It's only in the cell. It's because of the cells. It's not gene related. Okay, guys, we good? Okay, move on to the next idea. So we call those again bar bodies. Okay, bar bodies is more characteristic in cats. Some humans, but rarely in humans. It's more in cats. It's kind of like this. We call them calico, because this portion of the cat, that certain chromosome is deactivated. So when it's deactivated, we call those chromosomes bar bodies. They're just there to do nothing for your body. So scientists, what they do is, over the years, they created ways to study the genetics of living things. And so this is what they found. They created what is called pedigree. Okay, pedigree is dog food. Pedigree, there's a pedigree. Those of you who have dogs, she wants to be a vet, so she knows about pedigree because pedigree is the brand name for dog food. Now, biologists created a chart called pedigree. Now, pedigree shows you the absence and presence of a trait. And with pedigree, you can only study one trait at a time. You can't study 20,000 traits. You can only study one because 20,000 traits, that's too many. The pedigree would be out of control. It'd be crazy. It'd be too messy. So what does it look like? It looks something like this. This is a pedigree. Here's your mom, here's your dad. A horizontal line like this represents a marriage between mom and dad. A vertical line like this, a vertical line like this represents birth, siblings, babies. And so here, they have 4 kids, 2 girls, and 2 boys. Okay, 2 girls and 2 boys. This baby happens to be affected, and it's shaded so that you know. Okay, so this is a simple pedigree so that you can analyze. Now, let me show you a real pedigree. Okay, so this is a real pedigree of a family. How many generations? About 4 generations. Let me show you what I mean. So generation number 1, generation number 2, generation number 3, generation number 4. Okay, 4 generations. So you see how George marries Arlene. They have how many kids? They have 4 kids. 2 girls and 2 boys. Tom, Sam, Wilma, and Ann. Tom marries Sandra. There's a horizontal line. They have 2 kids, Daniel and Alan. Alan marries Tina and have 1 son named Christopher. Ann marries Michael, have 1 daughter named Carla. Now, within the family, mommy is sick with something. Mommy has a disease. Mommy is sick because she's shaded. She gave Tom and Wilma the disease. Tom and Wilma have the disease. Okay, we good? Okay, now, what disease are we talking about? Well, you can have disease in any of the chromosome number 1 through 23. It could be any chromosome, right? If it's chromosome number 23, it's sex-related. If it's chromosome number 1 through 22, it's not sex-related. So you can have it in both males and females. Okay, so looking at this, mom has it, she gives it to Tom and Wilma. Ann marries Michael, but they have Carla. Carla has it. So what the heck? Who gave it to Carla? Most likely Ann. Ann is a carrier. C for carrier. She is a carrier. I-E-R. Okay? Carrier. Ann carries the disease. She gave it to her daughter, Carla. So most likely, what is my conclusion? This one is not sex-linked. It is autosomal. A for autosomal. It's an autosomal disease. Now, what the heck is an autosomal disease? An autosomal disease is a disease that is found on chromosome number 1 through 22. 1 through 22. It is not sex-related. For example, what are some autosomal diseases? It would be your hair, your skin, your eyebrows, your eyelids, your nose, your dimples, your chin, your ears, your neck, your arms, your legs, your fingers, extra fingers. Those are called autosomal genes. Autosomal genes are genes that are also known as body genes. These are genes not related to gender. They're not found on chromosome number 23. They're found on chromosome number 1 through 22. Okay, guys? Okay, all right. So here's an example. A Punnett square of an autosomal genetic disorder. So let's say you have a disease that is a recessive disease, okay? It's right here. This one is the disease. And this one is a disease. It's a recessive, that means small letter, okay? Now, you have mom that is heterozygous, and then you have dad that's also heterozygous. Now, does mom have the disease and does dad have the disease? No, they're both carriers, okay? A carrier is a person that has a heterozygous, but this recessive disorder is in the small c. And so mom has it, dad has it. They're both heterozygous. They're carriers. So therefore, they don't have it. But let's see what happens when they have kids. Mom and dad have kids. If they have, let's say, babies, here's the Punnett square monohybrid cross, 25% chance the baby will be normal, 25% chance. 50% chance, this one and this one, the babies are going to be a carrier, 50% chance. 25% chance the baby will be affected with the disease. The baby will receive the disease from mom and the disease from dad, and making it homozygous recessive. So, if this is the disease of, let's say, skin, all right, skin, some kind. Skin is not a sex disease, sex-related, sex-linked disease. So let's say some kind of disease with your skin. What's the probability of their baby having skin disease? 25%. 50% chance the baby will be a carrier. That means that the baby will carry the disease. Not going to have it, just carry it. 25% the baby will be completely normal. Completely. That's homozygous dominant. Now, I'm thinking of the skin disease called eczema. Eczema. And how many of you know what I'm talking about? Eczema. Eczema is a skin disease that is found on, it's an autosomal genetic disorder. It is a skin disease. It is found on, you can get it anywhere throughout your body, and it causes your skin to dry. It gets you blisters, it itches, things like that. My wife has it. My wife has eczema on her hands right now. It used to be on her back. It moved to her arms. It moved to her palms now. Her palms. Thank goodness, not on her face. Now, my daughters, do they have eczema? Yes. My older daughter had eczema. She had it when she was a baby. She'd get hives on her face when she eat tomatoes, and then it changed to seafood. When she eats shrimp, she gets hives. Her body would swell up. Okay? That was her eczema. And then now, it stopped. It went away. I don't know what happened. No one really knows what happened. But I know my wife has it. She has it on her hand. Still, today, she has it. She has to put on a cream because it gets inflamed, and she gets blisters on her hand. Okay? And so when my wife and I am normal. Okay? I am normal. No one in my family has ever has eczema. My wife she has it. She has 2 small C's. Okay? So, clear? My wife has 2 small C's like this. I have 2 big C's. My wife has 2 small C's. So therefore, when we have kids, we have looking at it, we have all of them will be either heterozygous. Well, they'll all be heterozygous. But my daughter, 100% of this is me. 100% is heterozygous. Okay, 100%. Okay, guys, we good? Man, I've been going on for a long time. My goodness, I haven't given you guys a break. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to continue with the rest. Oh, there's still a lot. I like to show you the exam, okay? I like to show you the exam.